Hi, and welcome back to the You Being You podcast. I am so glad that you are here today because we're talking about something that's been on my mind for weeks now. And I have a feeling that it's been on your mind too. It's that time of year, is it not? Where everyone is talking about New Year's resolutions, setting goals, making promises to ourselves, declaring that this is the year that I'm finally going to lose weight, build the business, find balance, or whatever it is that you have been chasing. But here's the thing, I'm not going to talk to you about resolutions today. Instead, I want to share something that happened to me a few months ago that completely shifted how I'm approaching 2026. And I want to introduce you to a framework that I have been building that I'm calling the Freedom to Be You Guide, or the FTBY for short. By the end of this episode, you're going to understand why resolutions often set us up to fail, what to do instead, and I'm going to walk you through the first 3 steps of the guide so that you can start building your own beacons in 2026. Does that sound good? Okay, let's do this together. I used to think that my body changes meant that something was wrong with me until I realized they were messages, signals, leading me to more energy, clarity, and a deeper sense of freedom. I'm Stephanie Huntjens White, and now as a women's health mentor, holistic nutrition coach, and energy practitioner, I help women over 40 decode their symptoms and hormones and trust their body's wisdom so they can feel, look, and sleep their best. In the You Being You podcast, we're not here for quick fixes or one-size-fits-all solutions. This is where science meets intuition, where we get to rewrite the old stories about aging, and where you get to take back your power one small step at a time. Join me and my guests each week as we uncover the missing links to your symptoms, dive deep into the mind-body connection, and explore how to thrive naturally at every stage of life. Your body is beautiful and it knows what it's doing. Get ready to unlock the energy you've been missing and have fun along the way. Pull up a seat. This is the You Being You podcast. So a few months ago, my business coach gave me the task of finding someone to act as sort of a mentor to me. And she was encouraging a group of us to reach out to someone who could help us see our business really in a new light. And so being the good student that I am, and yes, I am a recovering people pleaser, but I'm also a very good student, I reached out to someone I didn't know. So this person, she's a businesswoman and she has kids. So I thought, well, we have that in common. We're also business owners, so we have that in common. And she's someone I follow on Instagram. I watch her reels and I love watching her stories. And so I know things about her, but she knows nothing about me. She's also a woman who has raised millions of dollars a year for her charity. But like I said, she doesn't know me. So I figured I had nothing to lose. So I shot off an email to her telling her that I live 30 minutes away and I followed her and would she be interested in meeting for coffee with me? And a few weeks passed and she said, yes. Oh my gosh, I was so excited. So a few scheduling emails back and forth and I found myself sitting across from her in a local coffee shop and she was lovely. We talked about business. We told each other stories about how we met our husbands and weddings and we talked about our kids. And I asked her questions about raising millions of dollars. And then after an hour, it was over. And so I went back to my coach and told the story in a group coaching call. And so she was, celebrating with me. And then she paused and she said, how does that make you feel that you did that? And I thought, oh my gosh, how does that make me feel? And then I came up with what dropped into my head was anything is possible. And later I sent my coach a message and I said, no. It's not just anything is possible. It's that everything is possible. And so my word in 2026 is possibility. It conjures up so many emotions for me. The excited emotion of what is possible for my business. The proud, expansive emotion that I have for my kids who have all now left home and some of them are building their own businesses. And for my husband in his business, what he's developing. And I think about our travels together and the adventurous, excited emotions that we're going to have in 2026 together. And of course, the anything and everything is possible emotion that I feel for you in the next 12 months. Now you'll notice inside those emotions, not once did I mention New Year's resolutions. And there's a reason for that. Here's what most people believe, that resolutions are the best way to create change in our lives. We set a goal, we make a plan, and if we have just enough willpower and grit, we'll achieve it, right? But here's the truth. Resolutions are often ways of setting ourselves up to disappoint ourselves. And let me explain why. There's research from the University of Scranton that followed 200 New Year's resolvers, let's call them. And with 70% of them actually maintain their pledge, their New Year's resolution pledge, for 1 week. They continued to follow them, and after 2 years, only 19% of them were successful. That means that over 80% of them 2 years later fail. That's not what we want with New Year's resolutions. And it's not because we are lazy or we lack discipline. It's because resolutions are built on the wrong foundation. Resolutions are generally built on what we should do, right? Not what we want to feel. They're built on external expectations, not internal desires. And they're built on willpower, which, according to research from Stanford psychologist Kelly McGonigal, is a finite resource that gets depleted throughout the day. And I can vouch for that. Willpower is a battery that can be depleted. I've seen it again and again and again inside my own coaching. So if we rely on willpower alone, we're setting ourselves up to fail. Here's what I want you to consider instead. What if you didn't need resolutions? What if you could create change in your life by building beacons instead? Beacons are our personal lighthouses. They shine light on where it is that we're going. They help us navigate rough terrain. They help us really see where it is that we want to go, and they help guide us to shore, literally, to where it is that we want to get to. And that's exactly what we're going to build inside the Freedom to Be You guide. 10 days, 10 beacons inside a 2026 plan, using them to help women like you move into their state of possibility. Each day, there's a new step that we build inside the 10-day FTBY guide, and it's a space where you can build this guide based on your true desires and put it into action. Today, I'm going to walk you through the first 3 steps to get a taste of what it looks like inside, because I want to leave you with something tangible to do today. So let's dive in. Okay, step 1 is freedom. The freedom to choose what you want, how you want it, and how you're going to get there. The freedom step is built on the foundation of what you want your days to look like. It's created from the inside out. So let me give you an example. Because weight loss is the big one, New Year's resolution that we all talk about. Let's say in 2026, you want to lose 20 pounds. Now, here's where most of us go wrong. Right away, we immediately start to think of, how am I going to lose 20 pounds? We start to Google diets and we count calories and we start planning workouts. And that might work for a little while. Remember, 77% of us it'll work for us for a week, but over 2 years, it's not going to continue to stick. As remember, 80% that don't stick to their goal past the 2 years. So here's what I want you to do instead. Instead of focusing on how to lose 20 pounds, I want you to decide on who you are as a woman who weighs 20 pounds less. That's way better. That's freedom feeling, is it not? How do you spend your days as a woman who weighs 20 pounds less? Do you go for a post-supper walk? Or do you do a little yoga before your morning coffee? Do you wake up slowly in the morning and write down your thoughts? Or do you get up in the dark and go out in the early morning and watch the sunrise? It's not about doing more. It's about giving yourself the freedom to build your days around who you want to be in 2026. And here's why this works. There's research from neuroscience that shows our brains are wired to move toward pleasure and away from pain. When we focus on the how, the diet, the restriction, the sacrifice, our brain perceives that as pain, and so then we resist it. When we focus on the who, the woman who feels light, energized, confident, our brain perceives that as pleasure, and it moves toward it. So I want you to ask yourself, how does that make you feel to see your lives through the woman who weighs 20 pounds less? Can you feel the excitement to get started? Can you feel the expansion of believing in her? Can you feel it in your gut and your intuition that just start to get all juicy and kick into gear? That's the kind of free feeling. It's almost like a kite on a breeze that we go for when in the freedom step. And that's day 1 of the FTBY. Day 2 is all about calibration. It's how you calibrate your body to lose 20 pounds and keep it off, right? Because that's what we want. It's like a climber who decides to climb Mount Everest. When they first arrive in Nepal, before they do the climb, they don't just start climbing. They can't do that. Their body has to adjust to the different altitudes. They have to allow their body to be able to calibrate to handle different oxygen levels in their bloodstream. They spend days, sometimes weeks at base camp, allowing their body to assimilate and to the altitude. If they don't do this, they can get altitude sickness, they can't breathe, they can't focus, they can't think, and they can get super sick and it can be fatal. So they certainly will not reach the summit. The same goes for your body when you're losing weight. We want to calibrate your nervous system to accept weight loss. And this is one of the secrets of letting go of weight and keeping it off. Here's why. When we try to lose weight too quickly, our nervous system perceives that as a threat. Remember, we talked about moving towards something that feels good in your body. If your body is built for survival and it sees something as a threat, it's going to think it's starving. And it fights back by slowing your metabolism, it increases your hunger hormones, and it makes you crave high-calorie foods. Not what we want, right? So when we calibrate our nervous system, when we teach it that it's safe to lose weight, that it's safe to not have to hide behind weight anymore, that's a big one, then we can shift our weight naturally. So how do we do this? The easiest way to start calibration is to look back at what worked before. So go grab a journal, write down all the things that have worked in the past. I also want you to take stock of what didn't work. That's just as important. We don't want to repeat the awful feeling in the body. Remember, we want to move toward the thing that feels pleasurable. This is how we start off on the right track. Now I want you to sit and read the list and feel it in your body. Give yourself some time with this step. Feel your body accepting the ideas. What feelings are drummed up when you think about the different things that you could do? Do you feel tingly or butterflies, or do you feel fear or unease? All feelings are welcome in this step. It's very important for you to tune in. And this is how we continue to tune in and let your body be the guide. Accept the feelings and let your body know it's safe. Literally put your hand on your heart and say, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. And we're going to do this together. And we're headed on a new journey together. So inside our 10 days together, inside the workshop, I'll give you more calibration and somatic release ideas, because calibration is really how we teach your body how to get to that new altitude and the new level of health naturally. So now you know that day 1 is freedom. Day 2 is calibration. Day 3 is power, the power of integrity. Integrity of who you are and who you want to be. So you can align yourself with your true self and stop lying to yourself. My word in 2025 was commitment. I used the word as my beacon, really, to hold myself accountable to myself instead of relying on willpower, which we know is a battery, right? So I'd stop myself and ask if I was keeping my commitment to myself. And it worked sometimes, but it started to turn into kind of feeling like a guilt call out. And by the end of 2025, my word commitment turned into the word integrity, thanks to Martha Beck's book by the same name. In her book, Integrity, Martha Beck talks about integrity as living in alignment with your true self. And one of the ways she describes it is by not telling lies. Now, I promised myself in the whole month of November that I wasn't going to stop telling lies. But the biggest lies I was telling weren't to other people. I've learned over the years how to be quite honest and truthful with people around me, even hard truths. The real lies I was telling were to myself. And there's research that backs it up. A study from the University of Notre Dame called the Science of History study found that when people reduced the number of lies they told, even small lies, they experienced significant improvements in their mental and physical health. They had fewer headaches, less anxiety, and better relationships. So here's what's interesting. The lies we tell ourselves are often the most damaging. Let me give you an example of my own life. One such lie has been around drinking alcohol. I love beer. And if you watch my Instagram stories, you know that my husband and I, when we travel, love to seek out local breweries. But I also know, as a holistic health coach, that alcohol is a nerve toxin. So over the last 12 months, I've been cutting back on my 1 to 2 drinks a week, down to 1 to 2 drinks a month, which is far less than what I was drinking a year ago. But if I want to get down to even less, or maybe even down to 0, then integrity is helping me get there without the shame and without the guilt. That's really important. Here's what I do now. I set my integrity goal and stop lying to myself. Before I go out, I decide if it's a night that I'm going to have a drink or not. Many times I take alternatives with me if I'm going to someone's house, or if I go to a restaurant, I just order a zero alcohol beer, and I hold myself to it. I don't lie to myself. Other times I decide if I'm going to have one glass of red wine when I go out, and I support myself again by not lying to myself. And for me, it works. I am so proud of what I've been able to accomplish by not lying to myself and standing in my integrity. That has been true power. So now let me check in with you. How do you feel about the first 3 steps of the 10 that we have mapped out together for the Freedom to Be You guide? So you know that step 1 is freedom, step 2 is calibration, and step 3 is the power of integrity. If you want to join us inside the event, check the link in the show notes for the Freedom to Be You workshop. It's part workshop, part 10-day guided activation, and the details will be down below in the show notes. So I hope that you feel excited as I feel, ready to take on 2026 with new vigor, new powerful insights, and a belief in yourself. Thank you for joining me inside this episode of the You Being You podcast. I can feel the momentum and the magic that's already here, and I can't wait to see what we build together in 2026. Thanks for listening to this episode of the You Being You podcast. If you found something helpful, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And if you're loving the podcast, I'd be so grateful if you left a review. It helps more women like you tune in and trust their wisdom. Speaking of wisdom, your body is always giving you clues. And if you're curious about what they're saying, take the Hidden Clues quiz. It's a fun way to unlock your energy type and get some answers. You'll find the link in the show notes. And if you're ready for deeper support, the Flourish Academy is where we do this work together, helping women 40 plus feel better, have more energy, and actually enjoy their bodies again. I'll add a link to learn more in the show notes. Until next time, keep trusting yourself and keep being you.